Just gonna do like it one more time about it. Okay, ready?
And where do I look, really? I'm not sure.
Mel. Right into Mel's eyes.
Okay, go down.
Like Matthew said, fix it in post, because we're gonna ramble. We're gonna ramble quite a bit.
So my name's Alina.
Nope. Look at Melissa.
Look at me.
I'm not here.
So can you just say your name, your age, and what faith you are?
I'm Zainab. I'm 18 and I'm Muslim.
So my name's Rebecca Rosillo. I'm 20 years old and I'm Roman Catholic.
So my name's Lena Jana. I'm 20 years old. I was born Catholic, but right now I just consider myself spiritual.
I never saw anything too different than my own. So everyone was pretty much Muslim. I mostly went to Islamic schools. I still went to secular places, but for the most part it was always really religious, and I always wondered of my own if I would get to a point like my parents. It was really different going into a Catholic school. Obviously I felt different, but at the same time I tried to get closer to people. Because my parents sent me to a Catholic school because they believe that we believe in the same God. Even though it's seen as different, Arab Christians still call Allah, which is what we do. We kind of have this belief that if someone believes in a God, it's better than just going to someplace secular. Which I don't agree now, but back then, I guess, when he first landed, it sounded like a good idea to be in a place where they also believed in a God. It made me wonder sometimes, like, because people kind of looked at me differently, like, why am I here? But at the same time, I also learned to be with people of other faith and find our differences, find our similarities, and, like, when you find similar things, it's kind of like, you know, we're not that different after all. Like, I realized things were a lot different. Like, it wasn't just the one way that I learned. I had to respect other point of views, other perspectives, other ways of life that people chose. Yeah, it's definitely different, and it's definitely like a unique experience that I don't think you can just explain it to people with words. But it's something worth living. It's something that, like, you have to live through in order to understand.
I've been surrounded by my faith for as long as I can remember, in my family, in every environment I go into pretty much. And then going into grade 2, we switched to homeschooling. Our faith was much more integrated into our actual schoolwork. Even for things like our grammar, they would use examples of like Bible verses from the Bible, that sort of thing. Homeschooling was the time when I was the most immersed in my faith, because it was like this collision of like school and home environment. And then in grade 8, I went back to Catholic school. You know, again, it was just sort of like this constant stream of being in an environment that was predominantly Catholic. But yeah, it wasn't until first year university that I actually met people who were not Catholic, you know, who didn't have the same sort of upbringing that I did. I started to question things a little bit, in that I would start to wonder, okay, so why do I believe this exactly? You know, why do I subscribe to this belief system, and why not, you know, to any others, you know?
My dad's family are the more religious ones. They're Orthodox, and then my mom's Catholic. So I grew up in a Catholic kind of environment, but I was never going to church with my family. My sister's not religious either, so religion wasn't a huge thing growing up, other than when I was exposed to it at elementary school. But I was in choir, and I was in Luke 4:18 in elementary school, which was kind of like this club that, by following like the words of God, you kind of like you did a lot of charity work and a lot of like donations, things like that. But after a while, I kind of felt like when I would go to these school assemblies and masses, and even in high school, because I went to Catholic high school as well, I felt like sometimes the things I was being told to repeat, prayers and stuff like that, didn't really like touch me. Like, it didn't really impact me the way I feel like religion should, the way spirituality should. I feel that through practicing spirituality in general and just acknowledging that there's a higher power, I get more out of my religion than if I were to follow a set template. I think religion is very different for everybody. Yeah, and I don't mind visiting churches. I think they're beautiful places, they're holy, and I could definitely sense a higher power in there. But the format just doesn't work for me sometimes. Yeah.
I would say that most things in our culture are also influenced by religion and vice versa. We have 2 Eids, for example, obviously the religious holidays, and like it's kind of like a cultural thing to go around when they're happening, like to see your family. It's separate but also really close together. Although I would say that I don't really believe too much in tradition or culture as much as I believe in religion, because I feel like people tend to confuse both. And for me, what's important is to stay in religion, because obviously my culture has changed lots. So when I moved here, I had to kind of get used to the Western standards. I'm still going to carry some parts of my culture, but it's not going to be as heavy as my religion, because I believe that times change and so does kind of the culture. That's not the same for religion.
I found it's been more interesting than anything to sit down and talk with people from different religions and ask them about, I guess, their own journeys, because I feel like it helps me to try to question, okay, why am I still in it? And so I've kind of been going through like this evolution of understanding. I still believe in this God, and I still have faith in this institution, which is originally good, and like anything else can be corrupted by humans. In that way, I guess my faith has definitely evolved a lot in the past 3-4 years. The more I know, the more reasons there are to sort of lose faith and be disillusioned, I guess, especially this year, there's just so much going on that sometimes I still do sit and I'm like, what is the point of believing all this? What is the use? I think the thing that's keeping me from breaking away or losing faith is the fact that, again, at the end of the day, religion and Catholicism is about love. It's a decent human being thing to do, you know what I mean? And that's what I really love about it. The church is like this steady institution that I can depend on always being there, because it's always been there for me. Like, it's been there throughout my life, and I just associate pretty much all the good things in my life with my religion, like my family, a lot of my friends. Yeah, so that's what's keeping me sort of tethered, I guess.
I love nature, because especially growing up, like my parents and my family, it's a big thing in Romania too, but like hiking, kayaking, canoeing, rock climbing, anything you can think of. Like, I've been doing that since I was a kid, so I've learned to see God or the higher power in nature. There are pieces of God everywhere, especially in nature, especially in living things. Personally, I used to meditate a lot more. Now I kind of only meditate when I'm feeling really stressed, or if I want to have a good day, if I have some extra time. But typically what that would be, I would find a quiet place and then basically take 2 deep breaths, and then on the 3rd deep breath I'll close my eyes. And then I'll probably focus on my breathing and count every single breath, and keep doing that until nothing else is in my mind except for my breathing. By doing that, you give yourself a quiet space, and almost a space where you can communicate with a higher power, because there's not so much fumble jumble in your head that would mask that. When I was in high school, I was like, I can't wait to graduate, because as soon as I graduate, I'm gonna have all the independence in the world. I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna have a great time. But like right after high school, those were pretty tough times. Like the first 2 years of uni it was really hard getting adjusted to, and there was a lot of other things happening in my personal life. When I would pray every night, every single time, if I prayed often, I would actually have more, like, better luck in a sense. Things would go better, and I'd feel more at peace, and I'd be doing better in life. I want to make sure I take that time to kind of address myself mentally and emotionally. So that's something I've been struggling with, but like, I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to keep my mental health afloat. I'm figuring new things out every day. I'm learning as I go. But the meditation and the fact that I feel like somebody's looking out for me, that helps a lot.
I feel that things happen in life, and I believe that anyone can get out of religion, and like even me. People find out things, and like things happen in religion, and so that makes them move away from religion, and I've seen that with my friends a lot. I feel like even when I'm going through tough times, I still don't want to end things. As long as I look at it from a realistic point of view, for the most part, I'll be okay. As long as it's there, I want to practice my religion. I want to have faith, and I want to believe, and I want to do what's required, and I want to not smoke or drink or have sex. Like, I want to refrain from doing things that religion doesn't really want me to do, or God doesn't really want me to do, because essentially I believe that it's good for me too. But as long as I have that God-fearing aspect of it, I'll go the way that I am right now. And I am happy with that.
I think the times when I felt unhappy or sort of like, I guess, restless with, in terms of my faith life, is when it's sort of not going anywhere. It's stagnated. Those are the times when I've felt like, is this really for me? Why am I still in this? That sort of thing. But it's at times like these when I feel like I'm growing, in some way, that I'm realizing that, like, yeah, it's an ongoing thing, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. I'm glad that I'm realizing, I guess, that things aren't as rigid as I thought they were, like in terms of like good, bad, like the church being the good thing in the world. In some ways it's been sort of disorienting, that reassurance or that black and white worldview is gone. But I also like it, I wouldn't go back to that worldview, because I'm happy with, being able to sort of think about and figure out what's my place in this religion and what's my place in the world, I guess, as a religious person, as a Catholic person. Yeah.
I think that I am content with the way I practice my spirituality. I think that it supports me in all the ways I need to be supported, but I feel like I could be doing a lot more, especially for my mental health and for kind of my soul almost. I think I need to develop healthier habits. I think I need to put aside more time for myself, because I'm always feeling super stretched out thin. But I do think that the way I practice my spirituality right now supports me, and I just know it's just only gonna get better from here, because I found a spot where I can like confidently say that I feel like I have a good connection with God or the higher power that I love, and as long as I have that, that's the basis of any religion, right? So always room for evolving, but I'm happy with where I am now. So if I was here for the rest of my life, and I just I don't know, worked on other things, I'd be okay. If that makes sense.